People have told me when they've stepped on this campus, and even myself, when I first stepped on this campus, you just feel this presence, you feel this acceptance.
It's really like a family. Like, we're definitely a big family here at North Point.
I call it my home. This is my home. That is why I came back to teach students, to see their lives changed, and for them to grow into the potential that God has for them.
North Point isn't about just investing knowledge into individuals, but it's about allowing individuals to be transformed in their character, in their service, in their leadership.
The chapels are just amazing. You know, you see God really move, you see people's lives change, you see people lay heavy stuff down at the altar.
We always get something new and a new face.
Some of the greatest transformation times for me have been in our chapel settings, our prayer chapel.
I knew immediately that this was a place that I needed to be.
This is a place where everybody's here for a single purpose. Everyone's here because they feel called to do something for God in some type of ministry.
Because of that single focus, we can have a campus that creates an environment for spiritual growth, for intensity in worship.
Coming into these doors, even as a young leader, I am not leaving the same. There's been so much God has done in me, and I'm just so grateful because North Point has been a place where God has really allowed just so much growth.
North Point.
North Point.
North Point.
North Point Bible College.
Hey friends, Daniel Day here, the host of the Daniel Day Podcast. The Daniel Day Podcast is proudly sponsored by Ministry Studies Online. Did you know that there are literally thousands of committed pastors, missions workers, youth leaders, and kid men pastors who have little to no formal training in Bible, theology, or ministry principles and practices? And there are even thousands more who sense the call to ministry, but see no way, financially or otherwise, that this can ever happen for them. MSO is the answer for so many who are looking to dive into their calling without having to dive into debt. Ministry Studies Online is a 30-credit, fully online, college-level ministry training program that features foundational and ministry-specific courses. We've come up with a way that you can learn the heart and soul of ministry way beyond just resources, with the flexibility you need with your busy schedule. Accessible, affordable, academically excellent. MinistryStudiesOnline.com. I am Daniel Day, and right now I am joined by my good friend, Pastor Dave McNaughton. How are you today, sir?
Doing fantastic. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing great.
That's
And
great.
as we get started, I would really like for you to just help us by opening us up with a quick word of prayer, and we'll get right into our discussion today.
Prayer is good. Let's pray together. Lord, I thank you today for just this amazing day that you've given us. And I pray that you would guide our conversation, and that you, Lord, would just make it a blessing and help someone as we watch it, as we interact today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. For those of you just joining us, we are with Pastor Dave McNaughton. He is the lead pastor for The Link, a church plant in the Boston area. And our topic of discussion today is the leader's physical health, the leader's physical health. And I wanted to speak with Pastor Dave on this subject because he has undergone a wonderful physical transformation over the last year and a half, and I wanted him to share his journey with us. So, Pastor Dave, give us a little bit of a background on what were some of the catalytic moments for you that said, hey, I really need to make some changes,
Yeah.
and how did you go about doing that?
Well, I'll start with just a little bit of humor, because that's how I'm wired, right? So I got on this talking scale, and it said, one of you guys got to get off. No, it's for real. I growing up, I played sports. I loved that, and always was in decent shape. And then, it comes along. Life happens, and like every transition in life, that seemed like I gained another 10 pounds. And I've had a lot of transitions. And I got to. There were a couple of points where, like, I'd grown. My physical body had grown where I didn't need to grow. So it's like I was actually up to 315 pounds. I'm 6'1", 6'1" does not go with 315 very well. And so, I realized, like, I've always wanted to be active. I've always wanted to be kind of in the mix with everything and try to live an active lifestyle. But I've noticed, like, with over the past several years, like, my energy level was lower. It was hard to walk upstairs. I was just gassed. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And then one of those moments, like, this has to change moment. Like, I was in California with my wife. We were there for a meeting with church leaders, and it was actually our anniversary as well. And so I said, let me find something fun to do. Let's, like, what could we do? We're out here by the beach. It's like we could go walk the beach, and those moments are fun. But we like to do active stuff. So I found this Zipline Tour, and, like, oh, that would be so cool to do the Zipline through this part of Southern California. And I was reading about it, and it said you had to be under 275 pounds. And I was like, oh man, I can't believe I've eliminated or reduced the amount of options. And then I thought, oh, let me pivot. So I was like, okay, we could do horseback riding, same weight limit, right? So I'm significantly over the weight limit. It's not like you say, hey, can we get one of your big ponies, And so then so that was, but that didn't bring change. And so I actually came to another defining moment was about just right before this journey started. This was really one of the tipping points. Was within a few days, both of my brothers had some kind of heart-related situation, and my grandson Elijah had a heart-related situation. Now they're all fine. They're all being, they're all kind of navigating well. But in that moment, I was like, oh, this is a wake-up call for this McNaughton. And so I was talking to a friend of mine in the medical world, and I said, I feel like it's a wake-up call. And she's been working in the medical field in the Boston area for years and years, known her forever. And she said, Dave, that's a wake-up call. That's a phone call you need to answer. I was like, you're right. You are absolutely right. So from that point, I started the journey. I was like, like there are moments where you need to, but then there are moments that you've got to. And that really has had to make those circumstances, those issues kind of were the catalyst. And so that's kind of where it started. And so I was already a member of the gym. Like, you can be a member of the gym, just like you're a member of the church, but
Right.
you're not necessarily, you can, all of those things. I was a member, just like I was like I was a nominal member of the gym.
Right.
My fee every month. But so I did a little bit of research and started okay, what kind of foods, and I knew that my diet had to change, and I'll talk a little more about that. And then I needed what kind of activity, and I knew that exercise and diet were part of it. So I started intermittent fasting and working out at the gym. But the kind of that moment where I was like, I just need to do this regularly. And how am I going to do that? Make sure I do that regularly.
Right. I would like to circle back around to the story of the zip line and the story of the horseback riding. And
Yeah.
you said something that kind of jumped out to me. And you said that your weight had limited what you were able to do.
Yeah.
It had limited your options.
Yeah.
I wonder if there might be some carryover to either spiritual significance or leadership significance, things that your weight had begun to limit you in some of the options that you might have otherwise had you been in better physical shape, or perhaps even future options down the road. Right. That had you not made the change, certain things would have not been available to you had you not made the change.
No, it's real. That is absolutely real. So it was the limitation of weight what kept me off the zip line, off the horse. First of all, I knew that from a leadership standpoint, my weight had become an issue, because it's not just like, and I feel badly about this at all, but I know that you limit your voice in the influential zone if you present yourself in a way that I was, and that's a hard reality.
Mm.
And so I didn't want anything that I could control to limit what God would want to do through my life. And I've been a part of some amazing things. Like God has opened up some amazing things in my life, opportunities that very, very few people get the opportunity to be a part of. Like we were a part of early on in ministry. We were a part of some of the amazing, like just incredible student ministry things. We saw lots of students come to faith, right? 10 years of that. I was a district youth director. I enjoyed all of that, work, and loved all of that. And those opportunities came along. And then part of helping to kind of help jumpstart the church planting initiative in North Texas, and then being a part of Church Multiplication Network, those doors of opportunity were amazing. But I also saw that diminishing no one says, hey, you're too fat to be on the team anymore, right?
Right.
And you're a detriment to our perceived option. But when the reality is, I know how I think, and I know how that kind of that's a pervasive idea, that it can be limiting as to the future opportunities, right? People that know you, like, it just happens. That's one, and that's softer, right? The harder point is, I feel like that we have at least 10 more years of really strong, aggressive multiplication ministry.
Amen.
And I did not have the energy to drive that forward. And it's hard when you know you have significant vision. We want to see at least 30 more faith communities established here in Greater Boston. And I know that, and you might say, well, that's just crazy. Well, we've seen like hundreds of those come to fruition. I mean, why couldn't God do 30 more in this city, right?
Amen.
So it's not going to be all beyond me, obviously, but I want to do my part and be in position to do my part.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be the limiter. And so that's part of that's a major part of this whole journey for me.
It's amazing to think that our physical condition could actually limit what God could do in our lives. That's a really humbling and also scary thought.
Yeah. Well, the end of life is always, we only have there's all we have is the dash, right?
Right.
And we can do things to strengthen that time frame in the middle, and there's part of the response. There's obviously, I believe, sovereignty of God. God can do whatever He wants to do, but then there's also my part,
right.
And I need to do what I can do.
Yeah.
And so being a good steward, just like I want to be a good steward of my finances, my personal finances, and my church finances, and the people that are around me, I want to be a good steward of me.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
it's a stewardship issue more than anything else, Daniel.
One of my mentors said, and I'd love your reaction on this, he said, I never met a pastor without a body.
We all have them.
And he's in tremendous shape, 82-year-old,
yep.
Has the heart of a 20-year-old. His doctor just told him he has the heart of a 20-year-old, and he can run for miles, and just a tremendous leader. And he's taken good care of his body. And another thing he says is that God tells him, don't waste my grace. Right. In other words, he's given him grace to have a ministry career that could span 65 years or 70 years of ministry by the time he's done. And it's a shame to think that someone could be 65 years old and at the peak or they're beginning to peak at their capabilities spiritually or capabilities educationally, and they have so much to give.
Right.
But they can't do it because their body hasn't been stewarded well. Your reaction?
Absolutely. Totally. So I believe that the idea of longevity in ministry is huge. So we're in our 40th year right now in ministry together. And Keena and I want to do that long term, but we have to steward that grace. I think that's a great word. I don't want to waste His grace because the decisions that I made based upon, however I was responding. So I think it's such a key part of the health journey is understanding that we need to, I think that we preach this and we know this, like I'm going to stand before God and He's going to ask me, hey, what'd you do with what I gave you to do?
Yeah.
Right? I did my best. That's what I want to be able to say. Lord, I did my very best with what you gave me to do. And that includes my physical body.
Yeah. So can we get into some of the details about your routines, either your workout, your diet? You have lost how much weight so far? You were over 300 pounds. Where are you at today?
I lost 115 pounds.
Wow. That's awesome.
So there's still a little more to go. I'm still working at it. But we're just working at it consistently. Now, I mentioned, I did an intermittent deal, and I've changed my routine since then. But that was my beginning point. It was, so where do we want to go here? Do you want to know about the workout routine or food?
I would like to just give us some bullet points, regarding, okay, you said consistency, so we probably should camp out on that a minute, but I'd like to just know, what are you doing? Are you on machines? Are you doing just push-ups and pull-ups and sit-ups? Are you using kettlebells, dumbbells, stretch TRX? I mean, what are you doing? And then also talk to me about your diet. So those two pathways.
Yeah, no. So I'm doing something. I'm moving every day in some way. Of course, I started at the gym. I haven't gone back since the kind of pandemic world has. I've been to the gym a couple of times since it reopened, but so what I missed that, and I plan on returning at some point. But I feel like I'm getting a decent workout right now, a good workout. So I have a yoga mat in my basement. I do some sit-ups and stretches there. I have an exercise ball down there. I also have we had invested in a treadmill in one of the previous plans to get healthy, and it had actually become a really good place to hang clothes on. And so we took all the clothes off of that, put it down, got it ready, and use it from time to time. Do a little bit of work on that. And then I purchased an exercise bike, not super high end, but it's it works. And so I have some dumbbells, and I also have just basically one of those band kind of resistance band kind of boards. So I mix it up there. So with and I'm doing so, but I've also have started doing just like 100 push-ups a day. When I started, Daniel, like it was a struggle to get 5, right? Good ones, right? So my strength has come back. So that has become part of the routine, like 25 to 30 at a time, just getting 100 a day, getting 100 type of ab work, just for tone. Try to get my heart rate up every day, to exercise level, and so whether it's walking, jogging, riding the bike, push-ups, sit-ups, and then back the earlier pre-pandemic, I was on the machine. I called it the Beast. It was the mark of the beast to me. It was like it was a stair climber.
Yeah.
That one's kind of one of my favorites if you really want to get your heart rate up quickly. And then I'd also, at the gym I go to, has a circuit type of, like a cardio lifting. It's just so I try to mix it up every day, doing something a little bit different.
Give me a quick breakdown of, you said intermittent fasting. I know you're drinking like a gallon or 2 of water a day or whatever it is. I mean, talk to us a little bit about diet.
Yeah, so I started with the intermittent fast, and we pivoted. That's my new favorite word, pivot, right? It's like we're in a whole episode of Friends here, but yeah. So I went from that to we actually started got connected to a doctor's office that was an obesity clinic, and it's a hard thing to even say, hey, I was obese, and I'm not anymore, but I was, right? But they had measured your metabolic age and a bunch of different things in terms of your heart rate. Our levels were checked. We had blood levels checked every month. All of our vitals were checked every week. But they gave us a diet plan. And so it was, basically a low calorie type of diet plan, but it's helped me tremendously. But all of my cholesterol level was high, is now perfect. My blood pressure high, now in the good zone. All of those things. But so from a diet perspective, now is I'm keeping myself under 2,000 calories a day. I'm tracking that, and doing a gallon of water a day. And it's like I have my I'll do a little. I have my I know you just came back from one of the CMN events, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I got that quart water bottle from my friend John J. Wilson at CMN,
There
and
you
I
go.
use it every day.
Uh-huh.
And so I will fill that thing up 4 or 5 times, and it's a gallon plus a day that I'm drinking.
That's good.
And so I realized, like, it was a learning curve too. So getting connected to this doctor was very helpful. You always hear, like, okay, calories, you have to reduce the number of calories. You need water, but I didn't realize, okay, we also need to replenish electrolytes. And so I use this little noon. Any kind of electrolyte supplement, you need to see one a day, just some kind of to boost your electrolytes. And then the other piece that I wasn't really that good on, and I'm still not as good on, is making sure that I have the proper amount of rest. So 8 hours of sleep makes a big difference in our health.
Yeah.
And so I've been consciously trying to get in bed early enough where I can get 8 hours of sleep. And that's a pretty significant shift for me, because for a long time I ran on a lot less than that.
Yeah. Well, the linchpin in your diet, in your water, in your exercise routines, to me, is the word you mentioned earlier, which is consistency.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this now for what, a year and a half or more, and it's incredible to me. Today, you said, was day 200 in a row of a particular series of workouts you've been doing. And so as we wind down the interview, I'd like for you to take a minute to encourage those who are watching about the power of consistency in these things.
Yeah, I'm just a guy, right? But it's not superhuman effort. It's all it really comes down to is, everybody wants to say, I want to be at this weight, right? Or I want to be here. And that's a lag measure, right? To measure how much you weigh. The leading measure of that, and I'm a big fan of the 4DX, and there's a lot of stuff you can read about it. But the leading measures are the things that you actually do to impact that lag measure. So getting out and exercising, moving every day, consistently, being, like, okay, I use an Apple Watch, and part of the journey for me for consistency was, I post a picture of my 3 rings closed on my Apple Watch, which means I've moved enough, I've stood enough, and I've exercised enough to complete that day. But and then I post a picture of myself. And here's the part of the reason. I've coached a lot of people in my lifetime. And one of the coaching questions is, so who's going to help you with the accountability on this goal? And I knew that McNaughton at least, is not easy to like call up and say, hey, how you doing on that goal? To ask someone to do that for me, I would probably, make it go to voicemail if I didn't work out, right? I probably would text them back, say, I got tied up, I'm sorry I couldn't. But I knew that there was a greater probability if I made personal accountability a global thing. So if I'm saying I don't want, I use Facebook, and posting that Facebook, not to say, hey, pat me on the back, high five me, but it's the personal accountability tool that I use to say, okay, I did it, and I don't care if anybody else likes it, I did it, right?
Amen.
I know that. So I know that I have to be consistent. If I want to achieve, wasn't just a health goal, it's a ministry goal, it's a lifestyle goal. It's saying, like, I want to be here for my grandkids. I want to make sure that for me to be able to be here for my kids and my grandkids and the church that I serve and the vision that God has given and all the mission that I'm on assignment with, I have to get this right. And I have to move this thing forward. And that is going to take me just with the same consistency that I want to have in the Word every day. I want to have what I want to steward my life with, my body with. And so I've really kind of focused in on consistently closing those rings every day, because that's something that I can do.
Right.
And that's the key, consistency is the key.
If someone had came to you at the horseback riding incident or the zip line incident, and on that day, if they had said to you, do you think you could lose 115 pounds? I wonder if that might feel audacious or feel almost even unachievable. And I think sometimes when we look at the big thing of what we need to do, we get overwhelmed and think we can't do it.
Yeah.
But if somebody had said to you at the zip line, hey, could you lose a pound this week, 1 pound? So my point is I think we get overwhelmed by the big thing of what we need to do, instead of just saying, hey, I can do this today.
I think the greater question is, rather than even just saying, could you lose a pound, could you actually ride an exercise bike for 30 minutes
Today.
Yeah.
And so instead of looking at what we have to do big wise, just thinking, okay, today I'm going to do, like you said earlier, today I'm going to do something. I'm going to move today. And I'm not worried about tomorrow. Yesterday's gone, but today. And I think our daily decisions, and I'd love your reaction, our daily decisions, the in the moment decisions, that's what we have to own. We can't own tomorrow. We're not promised tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. We just got to own right now.
I love what, I don't know if this is original with Batterson or not, but he says, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, we only have today.
Yeah, so good.
And I'm really being challenged by his new book, Win the Day. Just get that in your heart, getting that in your mind, that's what I had to do. Like,
yeah,
I can only do, and some of those days it's harder than other days.
Right.
Honestly, there's some days I'm not feeling, like, I don't feel like that I want to do that, but like, you know what, I want to, because I want to win that. I want to win that battle today. Right.
Yeah. Can you take just a few moments and encourage those watching to begin to take their health seriously? And how would you encourage them today to begin their journey of health?
You have an amazing gift, and that gift is a gift from God. And so how we respond to God's gift is exactly you can do exactly what I've done. I'm not superhuman or special. All I've done is I've said, I'm gonna try to be a good steward, and to manage my life, and lead myself in this area. And here's what I know, that when we take care of what we can take care of, God just adds extra blessing onto that. And I know that that you're busy, and I know that things come up, but a priority is not something that you want to do. A priority is something that you actually do. Mm-hmm. And if it is a priority, it will happen. Just like if you're a pastor, preaching the message is a priority. It happens regardless of what any other thing happens in your life. You know that on Sunday, the clock is ticking, 167 hours from the point that you said your last amen, you're going to be back in that pulpit, and you'll be preaching another message. Because that is the priority. If we approach our physical health with the same focus, that this is a part of my assignment, you can do this, but it's going to have to stop. You're going to have to come up to this point and say, I'm not going to let any other excuse or any other reality. And you may say, there may be those who are like limited what they can do physically. Get a plan that you can do, and then go execute that plan. Don't let anything else get in your way, even if that doesn't feel good for the day. There is reward, because at the end of the day, we're going to have more energy, we're going to have more effectiveness, we're going to be able to enjoy the things that we've been designed, been put on the planet to do. And I believe in you. And if there's anything that I can do, I'm open to, but I'm not the expert. I'm a traveler right now. So I'm always willing to encourage a little bit though.
So grateful for your time and the words you've invested in us today. And thank you for your story and your journey, for living it out in front of us and letting us know that, you're never too old, never too young to start making some good decisions with regard to your health. And I'm really grateful for your time today.
Thanks. Hey, it's not, you're exactly right. You're not too old or not too young. And I'd love to see, like, even those church planters out there, man, just make sure that you're doing that healthy thing. Don't put it off. Don't say, hey, when we get through this season, we'll be okay. Or whether you're kind of middle age or kind of older, don't say tomorrow. Today's the day.
Today's the day. Would you say a quick closing prayer for us as we go?
Yeah. Thanks, Lord, for this day that you've given us, and we ask you that you would help us to maximize the opportunities of today. Lord, I thank you that you have you've just reiterated in our own lives, Lord. This is the day that the Lord has made. We'll rejoice and we'll be glad in it. Lord, I just pray your blessing to be upon every part, every decision, every thought, every action today. And I pray blessing upon Daniel and this podcast. Pray to continue to be a blessing to many others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Friends, we have been with Pastor Dave McNaughton from The Link, the church plant that he and his son began years ago in the Boston area. Pastor Dave, thanks for your time.
Thanks. So great to have a chance to connect, and let's stay in touch.
Yes, sir.
All right.
People have told me when they've stepped on this campus, and even myself, when I first stepped on this campus, you just feel this presence. You feel this acceptance.
It's really like a family. Like, we're definitely a big family here at North Point.
I call it my home. This is my home. That is why I came back to teach students to see their lives changed and for them to grow into the potential that God has for them.
North Point isn't about just investing knowledge into individuals, but it's about allowing individuals to be transformed in their character, in their service, in their leadership.
The chapels are just amazing. You see God really move. You see people's lives change. You see people lay heavy stuff down at the altar.
We always get something new and a new face.
Some of the greatest transformation times for me have been in our chapel settings, our prayer chapel.
I knew immediately that this was a place that I needed to be.
This is a place where everybody's here for a single purpose. Everyone's here because they feel called to do something for God in some type of ministry.
Because of that single focus, we can have a campus that creates an environment for spiritual growth, for intensity in worship.
Coming into these doors, even as a young leader, I am not leaving the same. There's been so much God has done in me, and I'm just so grateful because North Point has been a place where God has really allowed just so much growth.
North Point
Bible College.
Hey friends, Daniel Day here, the host of the Daniel Day Podcast. The Daniel Day Podcast is proudly sponsored by Ministry Studies Online. Did you know that there are literally thousands of committed pastors, missions workers, youth leaders, and kid men pastors who have little to no formal training in Bible, theology, or ministry principles and practices? And there are even thousands more who sense the call to ministry, but see no way, financially or otherwise, that this can ever happen for them. MSO is the answer for so many who are looking to dive into their calling without having to dive into debt. Ministry Studies Online is a 30-credit, fully online, college-level ministry training program that features foundational and ministry-specific courses. We've come up with a way that you can learn the heart and soul of ministry way beyond just resources, with the flexibility you need with your busy schedule. Accessible, affordable, academically excellent. MinistryStudiesOnline.com.